At one point, I felt like I was predominantly negative thoughts, and that was that sound like, oh, you can't do this. You're not prepared. No, no, no. It's just very like a hater, like just a hater in your head. Like that for
Mm,
me is like low self-esteem. It's like a hater in your head.
Unpopular opinion. Grind culture is trash.
Oh, period. I'm Mickey,
I'm Julia.
and we're strategic hippies.
We're not regular landlords. We're cool ones.
We're fellow freedom seekers helping business-minded creatives and free spirits build wealth through real estate.
Welcome to the Strategic Hippie Show.
Miriam Hasnea tweets, signs that you're healing. You start seeing people for who they are and just not their potential. You stop making excuses for people's behavior. You stop blaming yourself for how others treated you. You make choices that are in your best interest and don't feel guilty. Do you subscribe or unsubscribe?
I'm going to subscribe all day, over and over. On all my accounts, I'm subscribing.
Yes, I love that so much. And I just have to shout Miriam out because I'm a member of her community, the New Earth Mystery School, and she describes her audience as highly sensitive intuitives. And I resonate with that. And it's really that guilt part for me that like just hit home in that tweet because I think of the people in my life who I admire, like their love, their kindness, their like joy, and like my grandma. And she chose to live her life for her family. And I'm so grateful for that. Like she poured so much into all of us. And I'm in a life experience where I can prioritize myself. So when I choose not to show up for people, like using her as like my standard of this is how you take care of people. But then it's like, oh, but I'm neglecting myself by doing that. So now I feel guilty. And it's that guilt part that is more tricky to release, but it doesn't feel good in my body to hold on to it. So if I'm going to do that, prioritize myself, I got to do that the whole way around. Like I can't just say it, you know?
There's like so many different layers, and the most important thing is like showing up healed, right? So there's this journey that takes place of building better relationships with ourselves, building better relationships with others, which is very nuanced and incorporates a lot of different practices of setting boundaries and expectations and saying no, and really showing up healed. And it's not something that happens overnight. And like you had shared, I think releasing guilt, because there's so many layers to this. But in order for us to show up in our business, then we really have to, show up in a certain light. And that's why we talk about, we always say the wealth building journey is a spiritual journey, but also the wealth building journey is a healing journey, right? And we show up and we are just students and we're learning and growing.
Girl.
But I'm curious, like, how can you share with us, like, what that process of releasing guilt looks like for you?
Yes, this is a practice, and this is more of the like esoteric energy work. And it's a practice of sending that energy down to the ground. So even if you don't even know what that means, if I'm feeling like queasy in my stomach, it's just like, up, get it out my body, like send it to the ground. Like it don't belong to me no more. What's up with some like golden light energy? Like fill me up. Like I need to be comfortable in my body. And if I have to imagine a sun beaming into every cell and letting all that sticky stuff down into the ground to just be absorbed and to try again, then I got to do that.
Man, I love that you use the line into the ground, because, I just returned from a very like intense but amazing 10-day permaculture design certification course in the middle of the jungle. I was camping, and it was like such an such a life-changing experience. And, you know, throughout this, it was so diverse and like very intense, right? So we were learning from like, you know, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. most of the days. And some of the classes were very, you know, self-development, spiritual. And then some of us were like engineering pumps and, you know, building composting toilets and all of these different like complicated systems. But we did this class with a medicine woman who was teaching us all about different medicinal plants and how to use them. And then we gathered and we sang and danced to the song, and the words are Hey Madre Tierra debajo de mis pies, which means Mother Earth beneath my feet. And like we're gathering in the space and we're like connecting to the earth and we're learning how to communicate with nature. And like this course taught me so much about biodiversity and organic farming, but it also taught me so much more about how to like connect with Mother Nature and connect with the ground beneath our feet, and you know, how to listen to nature. So when you said that, like get into the ground and just like give it back, like that really hit home. And
Oh my gosh. I just got so warm with you sharing that experience. So I've been holding on all my questions about this class, first of all. So before we get into that, congratulations on finishing and getting your certification. That is so cool. Can you just from a baseline tell us what is permaculture?
Who I like, and disclaimer for future me judging me on this video. I'm new here, right?
Okay, it's only her third day out here. Give her some grace.
I'm just transitioning back to civilization. I am really like reflecting on my notes and the experiences I had, and I can't like I'm still trying to practice like how to articulate it. But you know, from my perception, like the gist of permaculture is like organic farming utilizing biodiversity. And what permaculture as a theory has three ethics. It's earth care, people care, and fair share. So a big part of permaculture is like social permaculture and being part of community and sharing resources. And also I had this photo. So this was what I wanted to share with you, because there's also principles of permaculture. And we did a whole lesson on obviously all the principles of permaculture, but also how we can take these principles and practice in our daily lives. So we have daily practices. So, you know, I'll go through them. One of them is diversity. So learn new things every day to keep your mind sharp and your life interesting. Creativity, innovate solutions based on the resources you already have. Placement, put yourself in places and situations that will lead you to the life you want. Avoid toxic spaces. Autonomy, take care of your own needs first. Only then can you be of true help to others. Attitude, do your best to laugh every day, even in the worst of times, and make space to grieve. Keep your chin up. Patterns in nature, work with nature rather than against it. Recognize that life is short and that you cannot change anybody but yourself. Relationships, choose who to include in your life based on how well they relate to the whole system design. Boundaries, choose your emotional boundaries as carefully as you design your garden fences. Recycling, don't waste your emotional labor on any more than you would waste a glass bottle. Diversity, which I started that with. So I feel like permaculture is like spiritual farming.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes.
And yeah, it was so beautiful, and I really had no idea what to expect when I showed up. And you know, one of the big things that I took away is like of the principles of permaculture. The first one is observe and interact. So the most important thing that I need to be doing on my land is just observing and being part of.
Mm-hmm.
And, rather than like showing up and making a plan and executing, it's like when I spend the afternoon just walking around and looking and feeling and smelling and observing this system that exists already and how I can participate in it rather than come with my big master plan. And it's been so amazing. I've been learning so much and, listening to the land and everything she has to tell me. And like, oh, so I don't have to fight back. I don't have to like do all this recreating. It's like work with what's here and add to it and complement it. So hopefully that was a very long-winded answer to your question.
That was such a beautiful and comprehensive definition. Thank you so much. I love the spark notes of spiritual farming, because I think it is very much in what we've been talking about all the time, of being in flow, being in the seasons of nature. And if you really think about it, it's funny. It's like, it's very egotistical to think that you have a plan for this system that is existed for so many thousands, 100,000 of years before you. Like, oh, now you know what to do. Okay, let's see.
Right. All the trees are like, look at this girl.
Right. Loser.
Me and my machete.
Meanwhile, the rain systems like hold my beer.
Right. It is like, yeah. So it's amazing, and also learning so much about like what not to do, right? And
Mhm.
like so many farmers unfortunately like just use all these pesticides and fertilizers and herbicides and all of these things that are just so bad. And now I'm like
Yeah.
analyzing how all of these people that exist around me can affect my farming. And I never thought
Mhm.
about that before, right?
Yeah.
But like wind is real. Like
Right. Right. You're just about to have a bubble over your whole complex.
I have a 15-acre greenhouse.
Oh my gosh, that is so crazy. Yeah, it's so fascinating. I love the like, even how grounded you are entering this practice, because you can get caught up in what other people around you are doing, like thinking about how that can infiltrate. But it's like, even beyond that, you have to, the theme of today, ground down. Like, you have to just connect with your earth and trust it, regardless of what's going on around.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So that's very much the theme today. It's like the season of new baselines, of new standards and new boundaries. And even before this, we were talking about how, like, my bare minimum is just so much higher, like in relationships, even my relationship with myself, my relationship with my properties, with my work. And it's been a very humbling experience, because I've been myself this whole time. So being open to change, it sounds cool, but it'd be hard.
For real. No, and I think the boundaries and standards within yourself are, so important. And, for me, it was like before anything else, right? So, like, standards for myself is like how I'm nourishing myself, how I'm taking care of myself. But, like, I think more than anything else is how I'm communicating with myself and how I'm loving myself, because
Mm,
all of the other things like don't work, right? So like if I have all of these expectations of like, oh well, I'm gonna go to the gym 5 days a week and I'm gonna do all this, but like what is my self-talk like? What
mhm.
if I like, am I giving myself permission to maybe be in alignment, which feels like not going to the gym today and doing something else? Like, and that is for me the foundation and the standard is like, how do I want to feel
Yes.
first and foremost,
Yeah.
and then how am I spending my time? How am I nourishing myself? How am I, showing up in relationships and all of these things? So I think the season of standards, right? The seasons
Mhm.
and
The
standards
season
means
standards.
baselines and boundaries. So, for me, one standard that I have set for myself with decisions that I make are, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And that goes.
Capitalism got you down? Aw. Take control of your life and finances by gaining financial freedom through real estate. If you're over grind culture and resonate with the energy of this show, let's dive deeper on creating a life you don't have to escape from. Click the link in the description box to join our next free Financial Freedom for Strategic Hippies webinar.
And that goes back to, us talking on previous episodes about being intentional and taking my time and like, oh, this thing, but I don't know. Like, if I don't know, if the answer is not clear, then I'm not doing it. The answer will come if I'm patient and I ask for it, but that's one thing. And then, what would you say, or like, we talked a little bit about self-esteem, right? Because that is the voice inside our head. That's our inner dialogue.
Yes.
So can you share like some of these ways and practices that people listening can take to build self-esteem?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'm figuring it out and I'll share. So it's so funny. I actually tweeted from our account yesterday, like, thank God people aren't as mean as my intrusive thoughts.
Mm.
Because whenever, like, that's like where the self-esteem comes from, is what is my inner dialogue. And I think back to different moments of my life where the doubt was so loud, and it's like, why is this so loud? Like, where am I? Because I'll have like, I'm grateful that it's been a shift. So at one point, I felt like I was predominantly negative thoughts. And that was that sound like, oh, you can't do this. You're not prepared. No, no, no. It's just very like a hater, like just a hater in your head. Like that for me is like low self-esteem. It's like a hater in your head. And it's like, I would have spurts of love and encouragement. Like it would like, and unfortunately, and it is what it is. It came from those moments of external validation. And it's like, see, you can do this. You are good. And it's like, well, how can I shift that? And it's really just being nicer to myself, like showing up, like you said, for the things, having standards for myself. I just journaled the other day, like, are my habits reflective of my goals? And with all of the
Are my habits reflective of my goals?
like, are they? And like answering that, not from my ego, but from what does my everyday experience look like? Like, did I go to the gym? Did I have a smoothie? Shout out to you and that trip to Puerto Rico. When I say I make an acai bowl every day now.
Yay!
Like, I literally had one before this, we started recording. Just so bomb. And like you said, just taking care of yourself. And it's like all that comes from nourishment of food, of people, of what's actually coming in and out of my orbit. And if my mind is being a hater, you're in my orbit. So I can't listen to those thoughts. I have to see them for what they are and then release them. And if I'm in a space where it's just harder to do that, this even happened the other day. I'm like, I am so worked up. I just feel like I have so many like plates in the air of what I'm managing in my life. And I just had to do a longer meditation, like light some incense. I ran through a pack of incense, like,
Incense fix me.
Help me.
Help.
Literally like waving the wand, like smoke signals. Like I just want to like smell things to like help me reimagine what my reality is like doing tangible things in my space to change my reality, because that's really what, for me, when I feel like all that doubt and stuff, it's like a yearning for change because you're not comfortable where you are. So if I'm in a space where I'm comfortable, I have to accept that comfort. Like I have to just be in it. Like just continue to always be in the moment. It's just like it's just a never ending game of presence. And I love that because that means we're living.
Be here now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just be, the human beings, not the human doings.
We're just a bunch of beans. We gotta like, if we ever forget it, just like I need to put a mural on the building, like you are a bean.
You are with like a little bean cartoon. That would be so
Right. It's like
you got it.
yes.
Yes.
So
So
in regards to like, to pick up the self-esteem conversation, it's like, I remember being told that self-esteem is built through doing esteemable acts. And I was like, what's that mean?
what's esteem? What's Williams? It's esteem in your mother self.
Me in the sauna, like, I'm steaming. I'm steaming.
Oh, I love steam rooms. Oh my God. It's like the best.
But then, what that is, let's say, doing a good deed and not telling anybody about it. So it's like you're the only one that knows. And like you have the secret with yourself. You're like, I did something good. And I'm not doing it out of ego of like having people find out. So that is like a nice little practice to build self-esteem. And also like the simple act of keeping your own promise, right? Because one of our old videos actually kind of talked about how we were reading from the Kyle Searcy book on the illusion of money. And it was like, not only when we don't do the thing or do the thing, it was like, if we don't, then now it's 10 times worse because we also have the shame or the like for not doing it. And I kind of think of it like that. So it's like I make a promise to myself, and it doesn't always sound like a promise or look like a promise. I'm just using the word promise as like an example. I'm going to go to the gym tonight, and I'm going to cook dinner, right? And then 5 o'clock rolls around, and I'm like, but do I have to? Like, what's one day? And it's like, well, I can always just order takeout, And it's like the easier, softer way. But now at the end of the night, it's like, how good do I feel about myself? Because and whether I can identify it or not, there's that, the head hustler? Is that what
the hater in your head?
The hater in your head who's like, oh, you can't even do this thing, or
Right.
loser, ordering takeout again. You can't do anything right.
Sucks to suck.
And he's just up there with a pickaxe. Like we may not even hear him yet, but he's just like,
right,
chiseling away at like our self-esteem and our self-worth. And sometimes, I used to think of that line when I really didn't want to go to the gym. And I'm like, yeah, there's all these benefits of going to the gym, right? I like releases endorphins, I get my heart rate up, I burn calories, it like is good for my mental health. But also the simple act of showing up when I told myself I would show up is far more valuable than all of those other things. So just that, keeping my own promises. And next thing you know, I'm a badass bitch.
Yes. Oh my God. That's everything. It's so crazy. Shame is like guilt's cousin. And they're like, I feel like we've talked about this before. The Proud family, those blue sisters.
I just have to say, I really love I really love how much the Proud family gets referenced in our show.
Girl, because you and me will always be tight. Like,
Oh, it's so good.
yes. Is there anything else around standards and boundaries that's coming up for you?
I mean, I think, talking about business and real estate, right? And like how this shows up in the business part of our lives, because let's be real, it's part of our lives. For us as real estate investors, it's like, there's a lot of different relationship dynamics. And, let's talk about how the other day I texted you and I was like, oh, do you have an appliance repair person? And you had sent me a contact. I sent them a message and there was just like a list of messages that they never responded to. And I was like, so right away, I'm like, I'm not going to pursue this guy.
You already showed me how you feel about me, and you have no regard. Like,
Yeah.
not even worth a text back.
Yeah. So, everyone I work with, the way I show up in business, it's just important to have standards and boundaries.
Mhm.
Um, is there anything that you want to share about in business?
Yeah, definitely. So I found myself in a like, it's not peculiar because I'm always being supported in my business. Like, my family is incredibly supportive of me with helping get my property management. And my dad's been helping me a lot. And I really like been having to come to terms with like just my relationship with trust. And, entrepreneurs, the it's you're doing something for you. Like, I'm the one who chose to run a business. So having that, like, the ego eye is like, oh, this is your thing. You got to do it. You're responsible. But it's like, well, you can also be supported. You can also trust people that they're going to support you in the ways you need. And it's up to me to be better at my communication and my boundaries and what's acceptable. So it was a very positive and powerful experience of, we had a call and we went through like the punch list, the things that he's going to help me with. And it was just so nice to like receive support and like marinate in it, not be like tifty about it, not like it's a ding that I need support. Like, that's a crazy way to be thinking. So like, boundaries work in so many ways. And it's like setting a boundary for myself in, you're not going to do everything. You're not going to live in a silo. You are supported. You are calling in your soul tribe. You already are with your soul tribe. You know what I mean? Like, just be in what you got, girl.
Yes. Be here now.
Just be here. Like, and it's just so amazing because all our things look different. And I would joke, we're like ex boss babes. What a silly, it's like cringy.
Recovering boss babes.
Recovering boss babes, like, because it's like that, like, shoulder, like the folded arms, badass energy is like respect. There are moments where you have to pop out, and it's like, that's exhausting.
Sure is.
It's just like, in setting boundaries, I know when it's too many, the plates are moving too fast. Like, I know they're going to be spinning. I know I have these different things going on, but when I'm at the point where they're spinning out of my orbit, I don't want it. They got to go to the ground.
Going to the ground.
You remember that
Pachamama,
song? Get down
Pachamama,
on
you
the
take
ground.
it. Bow, bow, bow.
Yes, so definitely in business, the boundaries, just, it's a continuous process. And that's another thing to be mindful of too, is being graceful in the process. Like, you know, just that kindness. Like, I'm gonna circle it back to that kindness I felt with my grandma. I'm like, I want to just give myself some of that. Like, I just want to stop at my own house and cook me something, sit down
Yes.
and listen, like, just sit down and just be with myself. And then that gives me more lived experience to do that with other people, because I know how it feels to just show up for me.
Mhm. Yeah, and these days specifically, the way I need to prioritize my relationships, or else my life will become unmanageable one way or another. God, self, others. Like, that is how I show up in the world. And if I don't, things can get a little messy, right? If I put myself before God, if I put others before me, if I put others at the top, now I'm like people pleasing and getting burned out. Like, it is just so simple for me to just show up and be like, all right, God is my most important relationship. Myself is my next one, and then I can show up for other people.
Yes, amen. I feel that. And I'm like, as you were saying that, I just felt myself sitting on your roof, because that's just such a special place. And I just felt like I really felt that like omnipotent energy there. It's just very much that. And it was really nice to just continuously connect with each other and reaffirm these reminders, because just living out here in the world, you just need a little grounding.
A lot of it, actually.
Some might say more than others.
Yes. Man, I really enjoyed these conversations today. It was like so many things to practice.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
This is the foundation to peace for me.
Ashe. Thank you so much, as always.
Yes.
We are so grateful to be of service through the Better Than Success real estate investing community. If you're ready to explore freedom on your own terms too, we would love to journey with you on this wealth building adventure. Check out the description box to join our next Financial Freedom for Strategic Hippies webinar and learn more about Julia, me, Mickey, and BTS. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video, and subscribe to our channel. Peace. We'll see you soon.